Chapter 8 mirrors social hierarchy and tribal behavior. One of the deepest psychological truths in The Wire is that every institution eventually becomes a tribe, whether it's drug crews, police departments, unions, political offices, schools, newsrooms. The same human patterns emerge repeatedly: loyalty, hierarchy, insider language, status competition, protection of the group, punishment for betrayal, fear of exclusion. The setting changes. Human psychology does not. That's why the worlds in The Wire feel so believable. They operate the way real human groups have operated for thousands of years. Human beings evolved in small social groups where survival depended on belonging. For most of human history, being excluded from the tribe could mean death. So the brain evolved to care intensely about status, reputation, loyalty, acceptance, hierarchy, social identity. Modern society looks sophisticated on the surface, but psychologically, humans still organize themselves tribally. A police unit, political office, gang, or corporation may appear modern, yet underneath, ancient social instincts are still operating. That's what The Wire captures so accurately. People often underestimate how psychologically powerful belonging is. Humans do not merely want connection, they need it. Belonging provides emotional safety, identity, protection, meaning, status, predictability. Even dysfunctional groups can satisfy these needs. That's why people remain loyal to corrupt institutions, abusive workplaces, violent gangs, toxic political movements, destructive peer groups. Outsiders often ask, why don't they just leave? Psychologically, leaving a tribe can feel like losing identity, community, protection, purpose. The fear of exclusion is incredibly powerful. Every group in The Wire develops a hierarchy. Not because hierarchy is always consciously designed, but because human groups naturally organize around influence, competence, intimidation, charisma, access to resources, social intelligence. Even anti-authority groups develop internal power structures. Psychologically, hierarchies reduce uncertainty. People want to know who has authority, what role do they occupy, who receives respect, who can punish behavior. This stabilizes group dynamics, but it also creates constant status anxiety. In tribal environments, reputation matters enormously. Why? Because reputation determines protection, influence, opportunities, trust, survival. In The Wire, this appears everywhere. Corner crews protect their reputation through violence. Police officers defend professional credibility. Politicians manage their image obsessively. Journalists protect their status within newsrooms. People become highly sensitive to disrespect because social standing affects security. This is psychologically ancient. Humans evolved in environments where social humiliation could reduce access to allies, resources, mates, protection. That's why insults, betrayal, and public embarrassment often trigger such intense emotional reactions. One of the strongest tribal instincts is loyalty. Groups reward loyalty because cohesion increases survival. So many institutions develop unwritten rules. Protect your own. Don't expose the group publicly. Handle problems internally. Prioritize group survival over abstract morality. This is psychologically important because loyalty often competes with ethics. For example, police may protect corrupt colleagues. Journalists may avoid exposing internal failures. Gangs may punish cooperation with authorities. Political parties may silence dissent. The individual experiences conflict between personal morality and tribal loyalty. And psychologically, belonging often wins because betrayal threatens social identity itself. Humans are intensely social and status aware. So wherever groups exist, politics emerge, even inside organizations claiming unity. Why? Because people compete for recognition, influence, resources, security, advancement. This creates alliances, rivalries, favoritism, strategic behavior, social maneuvering. The Wire understands that politics is not limited to governments. Politics exists wherever humans organize socially. Even street crews have diplomacy, reputation management, succession struggles, Territorial negotiation. Because tribal behavior scales upward into every institution, tribes survive partly through punishment. Groups discourage behavior threatening cohesion, betrayal, disloyalty, nonconformity, public criticism, weakness, rule breaking. Punishment may be ridicule, exclusion, career damage, violence, humiliation, isolation. This creates conformity pressure. People quickly learn what behaviors threaten my standing here, and over time they adapt accordingly. This is institutional conditioning through tribal psychology. Over time, people stop merely participating in tribes. They become psychologically fused with them. A person stops saying, I work in policing, and begins feeling, I am police. The distinction matters. Once identity merges with group membership, criticism of the institution feels personal. This is why people often defend dysfunctional systems emotionally. The institution becomes intertwined with self-worth, belonging, identity, purpose. Leaving or criticizing the tribe can create profound psychological disorientation, one of the most tragic truths in The Wire. Even destructive systems provide structure and belonging. A gang may offer brotherhood, status, identity, protection, economic opportunity. A dysfunctional workplace may still provide routine, social connection, purpose. Humans tolerate enormous dysfunction when a group satisfies deep psychological needs. That's why changing systems is so difficult. You are not merely asking people to leave bad environments, you are asking them to risk social death. Luis grows up in a struggling neighborhood where jobs are unstable and institutions feel distant. His father worked at a shipping terminal for decades. The dock workers become Luis's first model of masculinity: loyal, rough, proud, emotionally restrained. As a child, he admired their camaraderie. They tease each other constantly, argue loudly, but protect one another fiercely. The union feels less like a workplace and more like a tribe. At 21, Luis gets hired at the docks. Immediately, he feels the social hierarchy. Veterans command respect. Newcomers stay quiet. Reputation matters. Weakness gets noticed. Nobody explains these rules directly. He learns through observation. Slowly, he adapts, talks tougher, hides uncertainty, laughs at things that make him uncomfortable, avoids criticizing senior workers. Psychologically, belonging becomes rewarding. For the first time in years, he feels protected, respected, included. The tribe gives him identity. One evening, Luis notices co-workers manipulating shipping records connected to illegal smuggling. At first, he feels disturbed, but older workers explain everyone benefits. The industry is dying. Management already exploits them. This is how survival works now. More importantly, the group expects silence. Luis experiences tribal conflict, personal ethics versus belonging and loyalty. Psychologically, this is incredibly difficult because rejecting the group risks exclusion, humiliation, isolation, economic instability. So he rationalizes participation. I'm protecting my people. Years pass. Luis becomes deeply embedded socially. The dock workers are no longer co-workers. They are his friends, his emotional support system, his identity, his social world. He begins defending behaviors he once questioned, not because he became inherently corrupt, because group identity reshaped perception. Now, criticism of the union feels like criticism of family. This is tribal fusion. One younger worker eventually cooperates with investigators. The reaction inside the docks is immediate. Hostility, ridicule, social exclusion. Nobody says we are enforcing tribal discipline, but psychologically, that's exactly what's happening. The group punishes betrayal to preserve cohesion and identity. Luis joins the condemnation publicly, but privately he feels conflicted, because part of him understands the younger worker was morally correct, yet another part fears what that truth would mean for the tribe itself. Years later, Luis reflects on how much the dock shaped him psychologically. He realizes he changed the way he spoke, the way he expressed emotion, on what he considered acceptable, what he defended, what he ignored. The tribe rewired his identity gradually, not through force, through belonging. People connect deeply to this aspect of The Wire because everyone lives inside tribes to some extent. workplaces, friend groups, political identities, online communities, professions, families, social classes. And most people know the feeling of wanting acceptance, fearing exclusion, adapting behavior to group norms, protecting their side, staying silent to preserve belonging. The show understands a profound truth. Human beings are not purely individual creatures. We are social organisms shaped constantly by tribes, hierarchies, loyalty systems, and the need for belonging. That's why every institution in The Wire feels alive. Because underneath the uniforms, politics, and street culture, the same ancient human psychology is operating everywhere.